Matthew chapter 22. Once again, Jesus responded using parables, saying, "The kingdom of heaven is like a certain king who arranged a wedding feast for his son. He sent his servants to invite those who had been invited to the wedding, but they refused to come. He sent more servants, saying, 'Tell those who were invited, look, I have prepared my banquet, my oxen and fattened cattle are slaughtered, and everything is ready. Come to the wedding feast.' However, they paid no attention and went about their business, with some even mistreating and killing the king's servants. When the king heard about this, he was filled with anger. He sent out his armies, destroyed those murderers, and burned down their city. Then he said to his servants, 'The wedding feast is ready, but those who were invited were not worthy. Therefore, go to the highways and invite everyone you find to the wedding feast.' So the servants went out to the highways and gathered all they could find, both good and bad, and the wedding hall was filled with guests. But when the king entered to see the guests, he noticed a man who was not wearing the proper wedding attire. He asked him, 'Friend, how did you get in here without wedding clothes?' The man was speechless. The king ordered his servants to bind the man hand and foot and throw him into the outer darkness, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. For many are called, but few are chosen." Afterward, the Pharisees conspired to entrap Jesus in his words. They sent their disciples, along with the Herodians, to him, saying, "Teacher, we know that you are truthful and teach the way of God in truth. You do not show partiality and are not influenced by people's opinions. So, tell us, is it lawful to pay taxes to Caesar or not?" But Jesus, discerning their deceitful intent, said, "Why are you testing me, you hypocrites? Show me the coin used for the tax." They brought him a denarius. Then he asked them, "Whose image and inscription is this?" They replied, "Caesar's." So Jesus told them, "Render to Caesar the things that are Caesar's, and to God the things that are God's." When they heard his response, they marveled and left him, going their own way. On the same day, the Sadducees, who denied the concept of resurrection, approached Jesus with a question. "Teacher, Moses said, if a man dies without having children, his brother should marry his widow and raise up offspring for his brother. Now, there were 7 brothers among us. The first one married and died without leaving any children. The second also married the widow and likewise died childless. This pattern continued until all 7 brothers had married her. Finally, the woman herself died. So, in the resurrection, whose wife will she be, since all 7 had been married to her?" Jesus replied, "You are mistaken because you do not understand the Scriptures or the power of God. In the resurrection, people neither marry nor are given in marriage, instead, they are like the angels in heaven. As for the resurrection of the dead, have you not read what God spoke to you, saying, 'I am the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob'? God is not the God of the dead but of the living." When the crowds heard this, they were amazed by his teaching. Upon learning that Jesus had silenced the Sadducees, the Pharisees gathered together. One of them, a legal expert, sought to test him with a question, asking, "Teacher, which commandment in the law is the greatest?" Jesus replied, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. The second is like it, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. On these 2 commandments hang all the law and the prophets." While the Pharisees were still gathered, Jesus asked them, saying, "What do you think about the Christ? Whose son is he?" They answered, "The son of David." Jesus then asked them, "How then does David, inspired by the Spirit, call him Lord, saying, 'The Lord said to my Lord, sit at my right hand until I make your enemies your footstool'? If David calls him Lord, how can he be his son?" No one was able to respond, and from that day on, no one dared to ask him any more questions.